Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the United Star. Today, we're doing the preview of the Chelsea game, which is probably the most important game in the Premier League season till now. And we have Abhishek here with us from Calcutta MUSC to discuss this special game with us. So, let's get straight into it with Abhishek. Abhishek, we are coming off some decent form now. We've won our last two games, we've beaten PSG. So, do you see the progressive improvement there has been, or is it just some paper over cracks?
Yeah, so obviously, to be very honest, the win against PSG, like me, I think I'm sure for most of us was not expecting. We were not expecting it. We thought probably a draw would be a good result for us because the kind of performance we have had against Spurs, we lost it so badly. But obviously, there are many positives that had come out from the PSG game. Obviously, it was a tough fixture, but we did really well. So very briefly, I would just point out two, three things that probably stood out for me and which would be beneficial for us going ahead against the Chelsea match. So, firstly, the inclusion of Alex Telles. I think we did not have such a good left back who can cross so well. All the crosses he was taking the corners. I felt like it will go in. So we did not have Cavani and Maguire. So when they will be there, I think those curling crosses would go in the nets. Second would be obviously Axel Tuanzebe. He played so well. He came after 10 months after an injury and he straight played against Mbappe and Neymar and he did a fabulous job. And also the midfield. I would not I'll not take out players individually. I'll just talk about them in a whole, like Fred and Scott McTominay. They did really really well. I mean, their overall gameplay, overall how they kind of ran the midfield. Okay, PSG was Verratti wasn't there for them. Okay, we had that advantage, but going in against Chelsea, if we can keep the same form and our forward of Rashford and Martial, if they can take all the chances against Chelsea's defense, because I think that's their weak line in Chelsea's overall team. The defense is not yet settled, so they can concede a few goals. So I feel that if we can take advantage of that, I don't see any way we can go ahead. Cannot win the match, and we can actually win the match actually. So it's
Right.
actually something that is in positive. I think Manchester is in a good form now, and hopefully we can capitalize on that. I feel.
Right. Abhishek has raised so many valid points there in terms of the players that played last game. And normally I'd get to predicted lineups a little later. But I think since Abhishek has mentioned it and the tactical setup is very important in this game, Vishesh, what do you think? Will we line up in a similar 3-5-2, 5-3-2 kind of formation, or will we revert back to a 4-3-3?
If you ask me personally, I would have gone for the 3-5-2. But again, I think we went for the 3-5-2 to respect PSG's attack of Neymar and Mbappe. We wanted that pace in our defense with Luke Shaw and Tuanzebe running behind and helping Lindelof. But I don't think we're going to show that much respect to Timo Werner. I mean, he's just got two goals in the Premier League. He is a lethal striker, no doubt. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I think Ole would go back to the 4-3-3 or the 4-3-2-1, whatever he prefers to play. Sorry, the 4-2-3-1. So personally, yes, I would like us to go back to the 3-5-2, but I think Ole will stick to the 4-2-3-1.
Just to add to that, Vishesh, which players do you see starting and which players do you see in making it from the PSG game to the
Okay,
Chelsea game?
so there, uh, there are some players that have just stood out after the PSG game where you would have possibly thought these players are set for the PSG game and won't play the Chelsea game, but now not playing them would be like, wow, how have you not picked them? So for me, it's obviously going to be Big David Net. I think he's made it harder for Dino to get a chance at Manchester United after his performances. Wan Bissaka had a great game. So Wan Bissaka. I am going for Tuanzebe and Lindelof. I'm giving Maguire another night off. If he is injured, so be it. Tuanzebe stepped up. He showed that, 10 months being out does not impact him in any manner whatsoever. Plus, he can play the ball out from the back, and he's pretty fast. So the full we need a left-footed fast centre back conversation ends there. My left back would be Alex Tellers, and the reason to have Alex Tellers, I'll tell you guys later. I would go with Fred and Pogba in the holding role. Again, I'm dropping Matic because I think Matic and Pogba cannot deal with the press together. Like if you see two, three players on Pogba at the same time, it doesn't look that good. Same thing for Matic, and Matic is relatively slower. So I think Fred can break up play way better, allowing Pogba to be slightly free. And then obviously I would have Bruno, Rashford, uh, Greenwood, and then Cavani up top. And that's the reason I'm having Alex Telles, for the simple reason we'll have someone to head the ball. And if Telles can put 3 to 4 crosses in, Cavani can definitely get on one and get in the box.
Right. That's interesting. Abhishek, I want to bring you in here and I want to ask you a couple of questions. Firstly, I want to know your starting 11, but I want to know if Maguire is fit, do you bring him straight back in? And if you want to play Twanzebe, then do you drop Lindelof? The second thing is, does Alex Telles get into the team over Luke Shaw? And then of course, your midfield. Would you not start Matic for this game as well? And is the time come to drop Martial? Because essentially, you are tactically, yes, Cavani gives that option, but Martial is also being dropped.
Prasham, Martial isn't being dropped. He has a red card.
Yeah, yeah, he's
Oh
actually has
yeah,
a ban. Actually, he
oh
cannot
yeah,
play
yeah,
for.
yeah. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
sorry, sorry, sorry. That's absolutely my bad. Martial's a red card.
yeah,
Yeah. So Martial cannot play. So Cavani
yeah.
straight comes into the team, or do you think Greenwood, which I was going to ask you, Greenwood would be tried out as a striker.
Yeah, so firstly, I'll start with the striker part. I feel Cavani obviously hasn't had a lot of game time, so I think probably Ole wouldn't go for him. I think probably he will play at some time. Probably he'll come in the second half. Probably play for 20-30 minutes. That's what I'm thinking. Again, that can change. I feel the midfield that we have. I think
So
Matic.
Abhishek, just to
Yeah,
ask you, then who would your front three be then to start?
I think the front three, probably it should be then Igalo. Igalo should play. I'm sure. I think Igalo might. I think if there is a choice between Cavani and Igalo, I think Cavani should be the one who should be getting the nod ahead. But looking at the circumstances, and because obviously Cavani did not play like competitive football for like quite a while now. So Igalo is, and I think is practicing with the first team, and he is with in the thick of things. So probably Igalo might just get the nod ahead, but I'm sure Cavani will obviously have his part to play in it. So probably my front three would be Rashford, Igalo, and right probably it will be. I don't think it will be James. It will be Greenwood. And in the mid, obviously, like Vishesh said, Fred and Pogba is, I think, probably will be the holding midfielders, and Bruno will be like the number 10 kind. Will be the creative midfielder, and then we can swipe VDB later on. So that is it. And that one thing I have seen that Maguire probably, Ole has a little faith on Maguire more than Lindelof. Even Lindelof had a great game against PSG. But I think if Maguire is fit to play, I feel Ole might just get him Maguire with Tuanzebe. And obviously left back, obviously it should be obviously Tellis. And right back, obviously Wan Bissaka. So it will be like Digier, then Tellis, Maguire, Tuanzebe, then Wan Bissaka, Pogba, Fred, Bruno, Rashford, Igalo, and Greenwood. Or Igalo might be Cavani too. So I think that should be the lineup. I don't think we'll be going with five defenders, because five defenders was mostly because of Neymar and Mbappe. We missed our main defenders, so we needed men at the back. So probably that was a tactic Ole's tried. But I don't think Chelsea against Chelsea, and because it's a home match, I don't think we'll go with five defenders. I think we'll be going ahead with the kind of usual formation that Ole goes in for most of his matches. So I think that would be the way he'll go.
Right. That's interesting because I think Marcus Rashford is also hitting some form now, and he looks like a much more confident player. And I think
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a more fluid front three going in where Mason Greenwood, Cavani, and Rashford are swapping positions and putting that Chelsea defense under pressure. Because
Mm.
as Abhishek said, Chelsea have not been good defensively this season. But
Yeah.
Vishesh, what do you think is the main strength of Chelsea? The goal scoring looks like it is there. So do you think we'll be able to handle the pace, especially of Pulisic, Werner again, and Havertz looks like a very smart player as well, with Chilwell providing the sort of crosses and width as well.
That's the thing. I think to a certain extent, Manchester United and Chelsea are in a similar playground when you look at things. Going forward, we're very good, but when it comes to the back, we're weak. The only advantage we have, our keepers in form, and they have either Kepa or Mendy, whoever starts, but they aren't the best keeper that you can get out there. So I think this is going to be a really high scoring game. So when you talk about who's there to look out for Chelsea, I think Werner has got some kind of form in the Premier League after scoring 2 goals. I don't see Havertz being that big an issue. I think Mason Mount may turn out to be a bigger issue than Kai Havertz because of his performances with United. But I think they're still defensively vulnerable, and that's why I think you mentioned Chilwell putting in the crosses. That's why I think if we have someone like Alex Telles putting in the crosses for Cavani, I think Cavani can get the better of any of their centre backs, even if they put in Thiago Silva out there.
Right. That's a fair point. Abhishek, do you think Chelsea are there for the taking? Because they conceded three against Southampton. They concede goals left, right, and center. They couldn't beat a Sevilla team that is actually depleted than the team we played last season. They don't have the likes of Reguilon, Ever Banega. They don't have these players, and yet Chelsea couldn't beat them. So, do you think Chelsea are there for the taking and we'll win, or do you think their attack is too much for our defense to handle?
No, I feel their obviously their attack is great. I mean, it's I think very young and PC players. I don't know Hakim Ziyech if he's also playing. Then yeah, he's also a great threat from the right side. But I think one advantage that we have, I feel, Vishesh spoke about the defense comparison, and obviously rightly so. I think in the defense part, it is just like they have probably we have a little better defense because our defense line is a little younger because Thiago Silva again is I think 35, 36. But I'll talk about the midfield. I feel in the midfield section, I think in terms of the creativity, in terms of overall, if I rate the midfield, I think Manchester United has a better midfield than Chelsea's because I don't think Kante is playing like the Kante we saw him 2 3 seasons back, and also their form hasn't been that great. Their front like their obviously Chilwell is obviously there, and their front line is doing real good. Kai Havertz is again a very good player, very exceptional talent. But if we can, hold up their midfield play, and if there is this supply line, if that is being cut off from our midfield that we have probably done even with previous games also against Chelsea. If we see, we have stopped Hazard with Herrera, and we have done these things many times. Even Ole has successfully done it. His record against Chelsea is pretty good actually. We I think lost that FA Cup semi-final only. Apart from that, our recent matches against Chelsea is good. So if we can do that, and if we can, stop Chilwell, and if we can kind of bring in their midfield down a little, if we can play our fluidity the way we have played against PSG in our midfield, Bruno, getting here and there, going into those advanced roles and all that. If we can do that, I don't see anywhere we can win the game against Chelsea, and I think it should be. We will concede, but I think we would score more than them.
Right. That's actually interesting. So you're expecting a high scoring game. I'm just going to come to you with your prediction a little bit later. Let me get
Sure.
Vishesh in his prediction first. Vishesh, what do you think the score is going to be, and who is the player to watch out for Man United in this game?
I'm going for a 2-0 to Manchester United. I think our defense would be pretty confident after the PSG game. I hope they're not overconfident. I hope Van Bissaka still puts in those tackles. The player I would say we have to, our player of the match would again be David De Gea for me. I think they will have chances, and he'll again have to keep the shop closed on Saturday, and I think that's going to be a repetition for this full month, Prashant, because the oppositions we're playing are not easy. We saw it against PSG as well. He had to make some fabulous saves, and I think that's going to happen again when it comes to the Chelsea game.
Okay, interesting. Abhishek, clean sheet against Chelsea against Timo Werner. Do you think so?
I don't think so. We'll have a clean sheet, to be very honest. I think probably my scoreline would be 2-1. I think we will concede one. But for me, I think our whatever the chances are, the goals that we score, it mostly comes from Bruno, either a penalty or all these assists that he comes in with. So I think our player, obviously DDG is there. Obviously, he did a very good job in the last match. But for me, our make or break player would be Bruno Fernandes. I think he's the one,
Right.
he's the talisman that we need to play well, and I think he will be the one who will be making the difference.
I kind of agree with you. I don't see a clean sheet. I think David
Yeah.
De Gea will have to make a lot of saves, but a clean sheet is not likely because it's after all like even we consider in the PSG game, even though it was an own goal, and this is the Premier League, and especially with this season, the number of goals that are going in, I see a
Yeah.
clean sheet very hard to come by. So I'm going for a 3-1 actually, and my player of the match is going to be Sir Marcus Rashford. I think he hit the form. I think his off the field positivity is finally paying off on the field as well, and he's been. I think he had a phenomenal game against. I wouldn't say phenomenal against PSG, but against Newcastle he was phenomenal. And against PSG, he got about 2 or 3 chances. He didn't do well in the first 2 chances, and I know fans are like, "Oh, take Rashford off, take Rashford off." But he just showed that he has it in him to provide those big moments. And I think this is another game for him where he scored a lot of goals in the past. We all remember that free kick from last season or the first game of the season last season. He always scores. I think it's going to be Rashford. So all of us think United are going to win, which is a positive sign. I don't think this would have been the case about 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah.
that's at least one job well done. The boys are looking positive, as Abhishek and Vishesh both have said. So let's see what happens. Right? Let us know what your predictions are in the comments below, and do check out Kolkata MUSC on their Instagram and on their social media. We're going to put the links in the description, so do check them out. Thanks Abhishek for coming on. Thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you all soon with another video.